So I initially got into advice because I'd seen some family members going through some problems, both financially and setting themselves up for retirement. Mum and Dad was a classic example, and I had studied to be an accountant, and I was working as an accountant. And after them going to see a financial advisor, it was like, I really like what they do.
Yeah.
And then branched off kind of by accident into risk and wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. Why did you go specialise in insurance only advice? Was it you were working with a firm that placed you in that area? What was that like?
So I was working for one of the major banks at that point, and they had kind of branched out their offering to risk only. And the opportunity came up to look after a specific region. And to be completely honest with you, the investment side doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
I like to be able to sleep at night. And when I actually started in the industry for the first time with another bank, it was a couple of days before September 11.
Yeah, right.
And I had queues of people outside the door wanting to pull out their investments, and I just wasn't comfortable with it. So the risk opportunity came up, and that's where I've been ever since.
Yeah, I started in the industry like a few years after the great financial crisis. So 2010, 2011 is when, and so I hadn't experienced any of those phone calls but the advisor I was working with had kind of gone through that process. It's nothing like a market crash to kind of go, oh, do I really want to play in this space or not?
Yes, that was the thought I had.
Yeah.
And I wasn't comfortable with it.
What's one of the, or some of the most challenging things about being a financial advisor?
I think everyone's favourite word is compliance. That seems to add a lot of intricacies to what we do. Challenges, look, with insurance, it's people's health. It's just making sure that we can try and get the best cover for them or the most appropriate cover. Doesn't necessarily come down to cost at that point, but just being able to kind of go through and get the most appropriate cover, which you then need to explain to the client as to why there might be exclusions and loadings and why the premiums might be more expensive. But that's really it for me.
Isn't your job just basically click and get a quote from 10 different companies and pick the cheapest?
Not necessarily.
And why not?
Simply because there's a lot of variables with insurance. It's the structure, it's the definitions within contracts, it's the pre-assessments that we receive back. So there is a lot of toing and froing and going through information and then trying to work out what's best for the client at that particular point.